So next, our speaker assistant Prof. IR Dr. Marcus will explain about elevating the science of data collection. Data collection or data acquisition is the first step before we can produce an analysis using machine learning. So to elaborate more, I would like to invite Assistant Prof. IR Dr. Marcus to give the explanation related to data science.
Thank you, Dr. Mahayati. I'm Assistant Prof. IR Dr. Ching and Marcus. Today I will be explaining about elevating the science of data collection. So at the end of this session, you'll be able to describe primary data collection from interview, questionnaires, experimentation, and observation. Number 2, describe secondary data collection from scholarly articles and online database. Thirdly, compare primary data and secondary data collection advantages and disadvantages. Primary data is the original data collected by a researcher. Primary data can be collected through interviews, questionnaires, experimentation, or observations. Interviews are interaction between researchers and respondents to collect information verbally and non-verbally through any medium of communication such as face-to-face, email, telephone, or video conference. Questionnaires are commonly used to collect data from a pool of selected respondents. The respondents are expected to be experts in a field or in a relevant position to give quality answers to questions. Experiment is a convincing way of data collection as researchers are required to give reasons of data result, validate with theory, and verify with a standard such as a computer simulation and benchmark with previous work. A good experiment involves proper definition of manipulative variable, control variable, and responsive variable. A control setup does not have experimental variable in order to prove the experimental variable has any effect or has a negative effect. Double-blind tests can be used to remove bias in experiments so that researchers and test subjects are not able to relate the experimental variables to the test subject. Double-blind test is not required for experiments that record concrete data using measuring instruments because data is not subjective. High cost of equipment purchase is required for experiment setup. So finally, observation can be done at regular intervals to collect data. Researchers are required to record based on observation through watching, listening, touching, smelling, or reading. The recordings can be photographs or video. An advantage of primary data collection is relevance. Because researcher is able to collect data that's relevant to the research topic. The data that is collected will be recent. Source of primary data will be accurate. This is provided the researcher collects the data himself unless he is confident that his data collectors are well trained to collect data the same way he does. Analysis of primary data will be accurate because the researchers know better the way that is needed to analyze the collected data. Primary data comes from raw data that has yet to be published. Therefore, publishing new data can be accepted as a form of contribution. However, disadvantages of primary data collection are costly, lack of facilities, and time-consuming. Therefore, it is not possible to rely on primary data alone. Secondary data are data collected from data that has been collected by third party. Secondary data are recommended to be collected from scholarly articles only, such as journal articles, conference papers, and patents. This can be obtained from online databases that are subscribed by the library. Internet is not a recommended source because the information is often updated. Internet can only be used to retrieve scholarly secondary data. The advantage of secondary data collection is save time, effort, and money. Although we are required to pay for access of scholarly published journal articles, it is often cheaper compared to data collection done by ourselves. Secondary data may be highly accurate. If the data comes from reputable research centers, universities, or government organizations, data are most probably accurate, as much money, effort, and time have been invested in the research. However, disadvantage of secondary data collection is information collected may not be relevant to answer our research questions. In addition, secondary data collected may be out of date. Besides, secondary data may contain wrong, ambiguous, confusing, controversial, or unreliable information. Therefore, researchers are advised to diversify reading so that correct information can be extracted to meet research goals. In summary, the advantages of primary data is relevant, recent, accurate, and can be accepted as a form of contribution. The disadvantages is costly, lack of facilities, and time consuming. The secondary data advantages is save time, save effort, save money, and highly accurate. However, the secondary data disadvantages is not relevant, out of date, wrong, ambiguous, confusing, controversial, or unreliable. So let me introduce our students' work example. When we talk about data collection, we need hardware or software and also supported by theory. So example of this project, performance enhancement of hybrid solar system is done by our student Tang Pokit and supervised by Dr. Nurul Atika Ahmad. So the project demonstrates the conversion of sunlight to electricity to operate DC and AC load by comparing the effectiveness of solar concentrator to enhance the efficiency of a photovoltaic solar cell. The DC load is a DC motor fan, AC load is LED. The relay or electrically controlled switch to the loads is controlled through the internet and smartphone through HTML interface and Arduino coding. IoT is important for remote monitoring and management. So for the theoretical calculation part, the load analysis is done to determine the power consumption of AC and DC loads over a week. The photovoltaic array size is predicted to cater for recommended energy usage per day, since the size of photovoltaic incurs cost. The battery capacity is calculated to cater for autonomous automation over desired period of time, such as 2 days. The inverter load sizing is calculated to maintain the voltage stability to protect sensitive electronic equipment. Inverter efficiency is calculated to determine the conversion of input power to useful output power. Power conversion efficiency formula is used to evaluate solar cell performance for conversion of sunlight energy to electricity. So in short, we are often advise students to support their work using a theory. Then the student also use a simulation software to collect the data. For example, a circuit schematic of the system is drawn using EasyEDA. The prototype is drawn using Autodesk AutoCAD. The Arduino coding is applied to program VMOS D1R32 and ESP32 microcontroller for relay control over the internet. Then for hardware Internet of Things integration, the VMOS D1R32 and ESP32 microcontroller are applied to control the relay for DC and AC loads, namely motor fans and LED through Wi-Fi. 12-volt solar panel is used to generate DC current from solar radiation. The battery storage is for storage of energy for night usage. The charge controller safeguards battery from overcharging. Then DC to AC power inverter is used to convert DC current from solar cell to AC load of LED. DC-DC boost converter is used to supply appropriate DC voltage to DC motor. A 2-channel relay is used to electrically control the switch for the DC and AC load. The LED is used as a AC load example. DC motor fan is used as a DC load example. Then the acrylic luminescent solar concentrator is used as a solar cell concentrator to increase the efficiency of the photovoltaic solar cell system. So in short, the students have used the hardware and software to do the data collection. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Okay, I pass to Dr. Nahayati.
Thank you, IR Dr. Marcus. Hope you all understand what is primary and secondary data, and hope the audience grab information given by two of our speakers. Okay, if you'd like to know more about Faculty of Science and Technology, First City College, you may browse our website or just type FCUC in the search engine. See you then. Bye.
Bye.